Still using the best of what Azure development has to offer. Today, we want to build a cloud-native application to manage a smart building solution. It's going to require a few components. I'm going to need a dashboard to see things like insights from the devices, predictive maintenance using machine learning, but I'll also need some components of my apps running alongside those IoT devices. So let's set out building that now. And before we even start, one of the largest challenges for teams can often be, how do I get started? We know we want to leverage serverless and cloud-native patterns, but it can often take teams days or weeks to fully understand the options and best practices and how these serverless solutions fit together. So one of the best places to get started with is through our GitHub samples. In fact, today we've released some brand new cloud-native app templates. These are better than just any sample because they include everything you need to get started. So you can see here, I'm showing two of the app templates that we've just released today. This is a Node Web API that connects to a Postgres database and a .NET Web API that connects with Azure SQL. I'm going to show you what makes these samples so special by using this other one, which is a React site running Node to process a serverless function. This is perfect with what we need for our dashboard. So let's use this as our starting point. I'll select to use this template, and I'll go ahead and give this a name. And when I clone this template into my GitHub account, it's going to create a copy of it for me to get started. Now, one of the great things about these app templates is that it has everything I need to get started. I can jump straight into code by creating a brand new code space. Rather than me now spending the next 30 minutes installing tools and configuring my machine, instead everything I need is ready to go right here in this code space. Let's go ahead and take a look around. I can see here, all right, here's that React web app. We can use that as the base for our React site. And I can even see the code here for the placeholder serverless function and understand how it fits together with the web app. Now, before I make any changes, let's just go ahead and debug this application. Codespaces is now building and creating for me a cloud-powered debug environment. So here now in my browser is that React site. I see the data processing, I see it rendered, and before I even go ahead and press this button to place an order, let's come back here to our project and set a breakpoint in that Azure function. So after we set that breakpoint, I can come back here, click the button, I can see the red dot, our code spaces hit that breakpoint, I can step through, debug, everything that I need is right here, all ready for me to go. So let's go ahead now and take the starting point and replace it with the code we need for our smart building dashboard. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I've gone ahead and replaced the React code and made a bunch of changes for our own site. And now I need this deployed in my subscription. But because I'm using this app template, it's actually really easy because it comes baked in with GitHub Actions. So in order to get this running, all I need to do is commit this back into my GitHub account. So let's go ahead and add a commit here. We'll push those changes to my GitHub account. And behind the scenes, what's kicked off are a number of GitHub actions. You can see here these actions have kicked off to build and deploy this site with those serverless functions. Everything that I need for full-fledged CI/CD is ready to go. So now here on my subscription, I can see that web app. I see those functions. Let's go ahead and click into the dashboard now. We can even browse to it and go ahead and see what this looks like now fully managed and hosted for me in a serverless environment. So here's this dashboard now running, hosted for the cloud for everyone to see. I can come back here, because I'm using app services, I've got a bunch of great features too. I can set custom domains, I can manage security and networking and versioning and slots. I'm getting all of this benefit by choosing this purpose-built service to host my web application. Okay, so while we've gotten the basics of my app running, there's one more piece here we want to get working. And that's here on the dashboard. You'll notice we want to pull in data from HVAC systems. But these HVAC systems are running on premises behind a firewall. So we need to be able to run one of our apps on premises next to the HVAC system. Now, usually when I run outside of Azure, this is where things get a bit more complicated with serverless. If I wanted to take something even like the dashboard that we started with, there's going to be a number of changes that I'm going to have to make so I can deploy it to run next to the HVAC system. So let's go ahead and jump back to the project to show what we would need to do. And the first thing is I'm going to have to figure out how to containerize the code that we wrote. So I'm going to need to learn and craft something like this Docker file. Likely I'm going to be using something like Kubernetes to run everywhere, which now means I also have to learn and write something like this deployment manifest. All of these concepts, all of this YAML, this is all additional overhead that I didn't have to deal with before when I was just publishing to these Azure platform services. So how can we bring the benefits that we had before while still being able to deploy flexibly on the edge? And I can do exactly this with Azure Arc. With the new Azure Arc capabilities, I can deploy our application services anywhere the same way I deployed to Azure just by changing the region. So let me go ahead and show you that now. Here, I've switched over to another project. This is a serverless workflow, a logic app. And you can see here what it's doing. First, I'm calling that HVAC system to get the APIs. I'm going to process it with some functions and update a SQL database. I love using tools like Logic Apps because it comes with another set of great features. In this case, here's over 400 connectors that I get out of the box. Each one of these icons is code that I don't have to write to integrate and process my data. Now, after I've built this workflow, how do I get this running on premises? Well, I'm using Azure Arc, so let's just go ahead and change the region. Here on my project, I've got this environments file. Now, previously we've been deploying to East US, so let's go ahead and create a new environment. We'll call it our edge environment. I'm going to set the location to Jeff US. You may be asking yourself, what's Jeff US? I've never heard of that region before, which makes sense because this is a custom location only available in my subscription. In fact, this is Jeff US. This laptop has Kubernetes running on it, and I've registered it with Azure Arc with the custom location Jeff US. So by running Azure Arc, I can now run the entire application platform right on this device next to those HVAC systems. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to come back in here and publish the changes we made on the regions. I'm going to use the same flow I did before, create a brand new commit in my code base, push that up to my GitHub account. It's kicking off those same GitHub actions. It's using the same Azure APIs. It's deploying that workflow and that function code. Here now in my subscription, there's that function, there's that workflow, but in this case, it's not running in East US. It's running on my laptop in Jeff US using Azure Arc. So coming back here to our dashboard, I can go ahead and update this HVAC system. There we go. The data has now come to life. I've been able to get my solution working across cloud and edge seamlessly. I have full flexibility to bring all of these services and run them anywhere on any cloud, any environment, any cluster using Azure Arc. When you need to build a web app or a function or a workflow, whatever your destination, you can use the same set of world-class tools and experiences to accelerate your teams. Thanks so much. Back to you, Gabe.